Hey guys, it's James Ballard from wildwings.co.uk, and today we're going to be having a look at the right and left circuit. So you should already be quite comfortable with the takeoff and the landing, and now we're going to want to know what to do in between those, and it's going to be a nice controlled circuit. So circuits are really important anyway, because later on I'm going to teach you some tutorials like the rolling circle, which is basically a circuit while rolling in a circle like that. But even for the manoeuvres that don't need the circuit to actually perform the manoeuvre itself, a nice controlled circuit in between the manoeuvres keeps your aerobatics looking really smooth and professional. So the circuit is really important. Also, if you're a flyer in Britain, then to pass your A licence with the BMFA, you're going to have to do nice controlled circuits to get that licence. So let's practice those and get them really nice. So the first thing, as I always tell you in beginner tutorials, is to come into wind at about half power. So you want enough power to be going along happily, but not shooting across and not so slow that that plane's sort of unsteady, uncontrollable, and will fall down. Okay, so come into wind about half, three-quarter power, depending on how much power your plane's got. And what we're going to want to do is we want to bank one of the wings. So the first thing we're going to find out is which direction are we going. So let's start with the right-hand circuit, okay? So we're going to be coming across in front of you from right to left. And as we get just in front of you, like that, then we're going to bank one of the wings, and it's going to be the right-hand wing. So we're going to use the right aileron to bank that wing. So we're going to hold the aileron stick across until it's banked at about 45 degrees, maybe slightly less, depending on how wide you want your circle to be. Okay, so about 45 degrees. And at this point we need to have a look at which model you actually have, because some trainer models' wings are designed so that when you put on the aileron and bank that wing, that when you let go of the aileron or bring it back to the centre, it will actually turn itself back to level flight again. And we don't want this to happen when we're flying the circuit, because that will get annoying. So if you do have a trainer that does that, that's absolutely fine. But what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to hold that aileron stick on. So turn the right aileron, so right aileron stick across to bank that wing. You're then going to hold the right aileron stick at that position and keep it there throughout the entire circuit so that it doesn't roll back again. But you only want a little movement, because too much will actually keep it rolling, and we don't want to keep it rolling. So if your plane's wing has got high dihedral, then it will want to turn itself back, hold that aileron on a little bit. If not, then we're going to bank the wing to about 45 degrees with the right aileron. Then we're going to bring the right aileron stick back to the middle and let go of all aileron, and the plane should stay like that. But if it does start to turn itself back, just add a little bit more aileron to bring it back and then let go. Remember, not to hold the stick on, or we're going to spiral out and crash. So what we're going to do, bank the wing, and at this point you're going to slowly put on up elevator to bring the plane round in that nice controlled circuit. And if at any point it starts to roll too much, then we're going to put in the opposite aileron just to keep it level and try, well, I say level, it should be 45 degrees about, and we want to keep it like that. So if it starts to climb too much or pull out violently, you're putting on too much surface, you're putting on too much elevator, or if it starts to really pull, and you're putting on too much aileron if it starts to roll. So you want to be nice and gentle with the sticks. You only want enough aileron to bank it to there, and then you only want enough elevator to slowly bring it round. So you start this manoeuvre while it's in front of you, you bank around your flying site, and then you finish the manoeuvre back in front of you. Now, you want to be able to do all manoeuvres to the left and to the right, or if it involves rolling, rolling left and rolling right. And the reason being, really, you want ultimate control over your aerobatics. And if your plane comes out somehow and you're not quite sure where it is, and you need to roll to the right, but you can only roll to the left, then that's not going to be very good, and you're going to have a hard time keeping control of your aircraft. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go do the circuit in the opposite direction. So, okay, and the other thing I haven't mentioned is power during the manoeuvre, actually. So remember that we started this manoeuvre into wind. So you started into wind, and as you're turning around in the circuit, on the other side of the circuit, you're going to be going downwind. So when you're going downwind, you can actually reduce the power slightly, because it's going to really speed up the plane. And we want to try and keep constant speed all the way around the circuit. So you can reduce the power slightly at this point, and then as you come round back into wind again, you're going to need to increase the power to keep you going and to keep that speed as constant. So once you've had a go at that to the left, to the right, sorry, you then want to do it to the left. So you come back across, but this time you're probably going to be going downwind. So this point you're going to be half power, maybe less, going downwind, and we're going to be turning into wind as we go round, this time banking the left wing, so we want to use the left aileron, just enough to bank it, keep it round. If it starts to turn itself back, just add a bit more aileron, remember be really gentle, bring it round, and at this point we're going back into wind. So at this point we need to put in quite a bit of power. If you're below half power downwind, then you want at least half power, if not a bit more, going into wind, pull it round, keep that aileron on, keep it going round, and level those wings off as you come back around. And that is the basics of these circuits. You want to try and keep constant height, constant altitude in the sky, and you want to try and keep the same speed. So reduce that power a little bit when you're going downwind, and increase the power a bit when you're going into wind, and try and keep a nice constant speed. So what does this look like on the transmitter? Well, there aren't many movements to do, but I'll take you through them again anyway. So you've got your half power coming into wind for the right hand circuit, and then you just want to bank that aileron a little bit, so you hold it there, and then if your plane doesn't have much dihedral, so it doesn't want to turn itself back, then it will roll to about 45 degrees, hold it there until it's there. Once it's at that 45 degrees, bring that stick back to the centre and slowly just pull down, giving it your up elevator, and you should just be able to hold that up elevator as it goes round gently. If you do want to alter how steeply you're turning, you may want to just add a little bit more right aileron or a little bit of left aileron to make it less, to roll the other way, make it less steep, and try and keep the same elevator on throughout the manoeuvre. And obviously when you're going downwind, then we're going to reduce the power. That aileron comes across just to keep it banked nicely, pull up, keep it going around, and as you're coming back into wind, increase the throttle. And you're going to do exactly the opposite aileron for the left-hand circuit, but everything else remains the same. Great, so let's go ahead and watch some footage and see how the plane reacts in real life. So the key to success with the circuits is little movements. You want to lightly pull up on the elevator, and you want to lightly add a bit more aileron should you need it. Take notice of the angle of the plane's wing. That's about the angle you want to keep the whole way round in your circuit. So if your wing is already at that angle, there's no need to keep on adding any more aileron. So slowly bring the aileron stick back to the middle of the transmitter and apply the up elevator. If the angle of the wing starts to reduce and you start to level out and fly straight, then you can add a little bit more aileron back on. It's much better when you're learning to not add enough aileron than to add too much, because if you add too much aileron, your plane may start to go into a spin, or you may accidentally roll into inverted flight, which you don't want to be doing right now, but I'll cover this later on. When you're at the stage of your circuit where you're going to be flying round and back into wind, you want to increase the power to about 2/3. And when you're at the stage of the circuit where you're about to go downwind, you need to reduce the power to about half power. This should keep your speed constant throughout the entire circuit. And remember, the main thing you want to bear in mind with this manoeuvre is to keep a constant altitude. You don't want to be dropping too low or gaining too much height at any one time. If you use gentle movements on the stick and adjust your power depending whether you're going into wind or downwind, then you should find it quite easy to remain at a constant altitude. It's a good idea to practice both left and right circuits, so when you're getting confident in one direction, have a go at switching to the other direction as well.